This is one of the wonderful things that I've had the privilege of experiencing as a clinician. Because people, it's like I live inside a Dostoevsky novel as a clinician. People come in and they tell me about their lives, some of whom are just suffering because of life, but some of whom aren't doing well because they've never done anything productive with even a second of their life. And we're all resentful right to the core because we've wasted our miserable lives. They think, oh yeah, well that makes a lot of sense. It's like, well, I don't need the metaphysical baggage. It's like, well, maybe you do and maybe you don't, but well, that's a bad strategy.
You've got to hold those things in suspension if you're to find your real humanity. And in fact, the way through to the good place is surely through the valley of darkness in the first place.
Well, then you know it's exactly the same thing, like 3/4.
And I had a question here relating to this, which I'd just like to read. In his piece, The Coddling of the American Mind, Jonathan Haidt outlines why millennials today are so fragile and lacking resilience in life and in relationships, in university courses and the workplace.
You know how naive you have to be to think that? How you have to be pathologically naive, which is the kind of naive that you could have grown out of, but you willfully refused to because you weren't willing to see what was in front of your face.
Are our kids taught this in school?
No, not at all.
In universities? Why not?
Very.
And here's a rub.
The school systems that our kids are going through are increasingly occupied by the postmodern neo-Marxists.
And here's a rub.
I think we have to, yeah, well, it's a...
Comes back to what you said. I think when it's framed, we understand it.
We went down that pathway already. Like, we don't need to do it again.
We've tried it.
And things...
History should be like science.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows it.
If they think. And so you're done with a memory when you've extracted out the information that you can use to guide yourself properly in the future. So if you have a traumatic memory, for example, that's really...
To an inability to think
most of them
freely.
were trustees. So they were perpetrating the very system that imprisoned them.
Not between Catholic and Baptist, he wrote, not between woman and man, not between...
Transforms into a Nazi murderer.
But the dividing line between evil actually lies somewhere across every human heart.
I knew that. I knew that. I just didn't know how to say it.
Doesn't that in itself say something? You only have to spend a bit of time with you to realise. Willingness to try and distort truth to suit our objectives.
It's hard to say what it speaks of, you know. It's hard. It's like the...
Doesn't that in itself say something?
No one thinks that.
How evil it was and how oppressive it was.
That's the Platonic idea of idea to be articulated.
Opens up a whole can of very, very interesting issues.
You couldn't hope for anything better than that. There's zero harm in it, right? It's just people putting their lives together. They're not mucking about with other people.
It's evident to me.
Look, there's reasons to be on the left. Inequality is a big problem. It's way worse than Marx thought. Okay, fine. You know those guys that are doing so much better than you? Yeah, they actually stole all of that from you. And you're morally obligated to go take it back.
Let's leave it on that basis.
Well, there's something I'd like to say, maybe in closing, about courage. People say that to me, and you know, I don't think it's exactly right. There's a line in the Old Testament, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And I think it's more like...
Let's leave it on that basis.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conversation.